That's right. It's me. It's the Cyber Warrior. This is CyberWarriorStudios, and I know you're all here for another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour, and we're going to get into it. I promise it's going to be an awesome episode. So I hope you have your drinks or your water or your tea or your beer, whatever you're drinking tonight. I hope you have it because it is. It's going to be an amazing episode. And honestly, I'm just here for the conversation like I always am because, that's what I do. Now, if you stick with me, I'll be right back here in about 10 seconds. And I'm back. What do you know? Hey, it's me again. How you doing? Yeah. Anyways, look, hey, so with me this evening on Freya's Day, that's right. All right. I want you all to show some love to Nick Gipson. Nick has his own little hiring methodology for SOC analysts, so we're going to go through that this evening. But before we get into it, Nick, why don't you give people a little bit of a rundown about who you are and why this is so important to you?
Sure, yeah. So happy Freya's Day, goddess of love and war. I love it. It's amazing day today. So a little bit about me. I come from a SOC background. So my first job was in a SOC. I started there. And so as a security analyst is really at my core. And I noticed a trend when I was going through my, coming up through my SOC analyst roles that, 18 months and out is pretty much the standard for how long an analyst will stay within your company. They generally will only stay till 18 months, and then they're trying to find someplace else to advance in their career, get more pay, whatever you want to call it. And I really wanted to change that when I got to the position I am now, where I was able to create my own SOC and build it from the ground up. And I wanted to take that process and make it so that analysts wanted to stay at my organization and were fulfilled in their day-to-day positions to stay longer than 18 months.
That's awesome because, excuse me. I'm kind of like multitasking right now. Actually, I'm context switching. It's impossible to multitask for anybody that listens to my shows. So I was just typing because Jenny Housley, who is in chat right now, usually watches the replays, come back and comments every time. But she's finally able to make it live. So thanks for joining, Jenny. And as always, we got Carrie, Alana, Andrea, and a few others in the chat. So thank you, everybody, for joining this evening. Now, cybersecurity as a whole, it's funny you say that about a SOC analyst because in my eyes, I think cybersecurity positions as a whole, and even IT to an extent, there's not much loyalty to organizations anymore because we are, I don't want to say we're more intelligent. We're a little bit more stubborn, I guess you would say, and that we want to look out for our benefits and what's going to be best for us. And sometimes sticking with that same company just isn't it. So we're willing to move. Whereas in other career fields, that loyalty will kind of pay off and you'll move up. But it's very hard to do within an organization, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, let's say for construction, for example, you can become an apprentice and over time move up and advance in that and make more money. Whereas in cybersecurity, there's not really that structure. You just move and flow with the changing of the tides to whatever job title is privy that week to going to. So this week I'm a threat hunter, but tomorrow I'm a threat intel analyst or something along those lines. They all mean the same thing, but we don't have any of that structure. So I think that's where you see there's a lot of play in where a person can get benefit and increase both their monetary value within an organization, but also their skill level within that too, because that's a two-edged sword. I've left companies for both reasons. I left because I didn't get paid well, and I've left because I learned all that they could offer me, and I was so bored that I was mind-numbing and I had to leave because I wanted to learn more. I wanted more growth in my career. And I think if you can combine those two into one job and to say, yes, we are going to keep up with the pay of the market. And yes, we are going to offer the cutting edge training both in the same package. That's how you're going to keep more analysts.
Yeah. And I got a question here, which I want to get to. And like I said, because it's going to lead into a lot of what we're going to talk about your hiring methodology with, your current role and you're more of on the hiring manager side of things now. But I want to look at it because I also look at it in this way: is some organizations, they don't have like a blue team and red team.
Mhm.
So, or a purple team or GRC, right? There's usually a sect that they're missing. So you end up getting hired for one job, realize you want to kind of go check out the other job for a little bit, and really figure out you want to like what you like. So that's where a lot of that job hopping also comes around. Is you'll
Yeah.
sit as an analyst for a little while and be like, you know what? I've looked at enough logs. Let me go break into computers for a bit, or let me go engineer, security equipment. So I think that's also where that comes into play. Is the field is so broad, and some people like myself don't like to pigeonhole themselves. And in
Mhm.
organizations, that's what ends up happening: is you're siloed and you end up pigeonholed, just knowing one thing. And our brains it's very hard to function that way. It
Yeah.
really is.
No, 100%.
So
100%.
all right. So what we have here from Alana. I love Alana. She actually put out some stuff for Simon Lindstedt today. So thanks for that, Alana, because Simon's a great guy. Folks in the SOC are usually, at least in my mind, are often being the locked door doing intense investigations. Can you talk about how the various rules interact with other parts of an InfoSec team or cybersecurity team?
Okay. Yes. So this is a thing that kind of broke out from when cybersecurity broke out of engineering. It really became its own siloed sort of field, but no one really defined it that much. So when you're talking about different roles and different things, they could all just be the same person or spread across multiple different people, but working in unison to fulfill the same goal, right? So you could have someone that just does security analysis and then someone that just does threat intelligence, or you can have a blend of those two people to cross train with them. So I think that's really where security analysts need to work with other teams, is in that ability to um, articulate to other teams what they need, but also to get services from what they need too. So threat intel, like for example, you have a security operations center and then you have a threat intel center. Well, those two entities need to work together, and you need to have some sort of documentation that says that.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. And you said the key word right there is documentation,
Mm-hmm.
process, procedure, why these things matter. All that goes into it. And unfortunately, in my time as a consultant, I have seen a lot of those documents don't exist. There's
Yes.
sometimes an unspoken rule, an agreement, and sometimes there's just bad blood, and different parts of the organization don't talk because of whatever reason. So yes, the documentation is key, and I fucking hate it because I hate documentation, but it's a necessity, and you got to learn how to do it, and you got to be able to produce it, and you got to be able to utilize it. And if you're in cybersecurity, I really hope you like to write, because you're going to be writing a hell of a lot, especially as you move up the ladder.
Oh yes.
So what's up?
I mean, the technical writing. Technical writing makes a security analyst. A good security analyst needs to be able to articulate technical details to non-technical people.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you got to be able to, even as a pen tester, you've got to be able to write reports in a way that the executives understand.
Yes.
You can't sit there and get down in the nitty gritty and just be like, "Oh yeah, this is how I broke in step by step." An executive is going to look at that and go, "And I don't get what I'm looking at here."
Yeah.
What?
Exactly. Yep.
So you have to be able to articulate your thought process. So yeah, very valid points. Thank you for that. We do have another question here, and you know what? This will lead into your hiring process.
Mhm.
So, Carrie wants to know, Nick, what can I do to get into the SOC field? I don't like SOC field. Get into a SOC, I guess would be
Yeah.
a better way to word that. I know I have a lot to learn more just with my A plus going for Linux plus. Wonder what else do I need?
So it is, yes, and this goes right into my hiring process. And the biggest thing that is different about what I look for is on the resume when I'm first looking for it, and it's passion within the field. And how I look for passion is things like having a home lab, saying that you go to security conferences, listening to the Cyber Warrior every week. Put that on your resume. Tell me about that. I want to know Okay, so let's get down to the brass tacks of what a SOC analyst is. A SOC analyst role is a grinding job. It will grind you down unless you have a passion for this field. If you don't love digging through text files to find malware, this is not the field for you. You have to be able to be passionate. And that's the people that I want. I don't want someone that's coming into cybersecurity before the money. I want someone that's coming in because they want to sit in a SOC and grind it out with me every day and make sure that everyone's secure.
Yes, I love it. You said so many key things in that phrase and in that statement, and it's about passion. And it's so much of what we tell people whenever they're doing their resumes. Do you have a lab? Put it on there.
Yeah.
If you have content that you've developed, put it on there.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if you don't feel like how you learn and grow, like, hey, I watch this show or do follow these articles fits on a resume, then do a damn cover letter. As much as I hate cover letters,
yeah,
put together a damn cover letter about who the hell you are. Like, even my resume has a section that is literally basically an about me. It has little to nothing to do with security and everything to do about who I am as a person, because it is the person that they're hiring. They are not hiring. And I put it before everything. I put it before my experience.
Yeah, it's in my LinkedIn too.
It's right there.
Yep.
And so it is one of those things where, that home lab counts as experience. And Robert, Notar Francesco. Robert, hey, thanks for the shirt, by the way. Once again, where do you put your lab on a resume and in what detail? I say you put it under experience. What about you?
Yes, you could put it under experience. You can put it under recent accolades. I've seen that as well. That's a good one. Like if, for example, you're doing Try Hack Me and you pop a couple hard boxes, you can put that on there. I mean, I would love to see that when I'm hiring an entry-level SOC analyst. So, and even it just depends on the flow of your resume. That's the biggest part about a resume, is just flow and getting the proper information up front. So if your experience trumps your outside learning, put that at first. But if your outside learning is trumping your experience, put that at the top.
Yeah, because it's those first few seconds when a hiring manager looks at the resume that matters.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this, Nick. In your hiring process and the way you kind of go about doing things, do you prefer when people reach out to you on things like LinkedIn and stuff like that? Like, if they do their research, they know you're the one that is like the senior person for said company, so I want to talk to him. Do you like when they reach out to you and at least develop a rapport before they say, hey, homie, I applied for this job. Why haven't you called me?
Yeah, no, that might be a little off-putting to me, but if you just apply to my position on LinkedIn, and I always do when I do LinkedIn, I always do the easy applies, because I just love being able to click it and make it easy for everyone. Because LinkedIn, contrary to what recruiters will tell you, LinkedIn has the ability to filter all that stuff in the back end. So it doesn't matter if you can just send it out, it's fine. So when I'm doing that, I always am looking for, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. Go back a question again. I'm so sorry.
So if you're hiring for a position, and then Andrea has a good question here too. If you're hiring for a position and someone hasn't heard back, right? But they do the legwork to know you're the one hiring, or at least you're somewhere in that process. How do you prefer they reach out to you, or do you want them to reach out to you?
Yes, I'm sorry I got off on that tangent about LinkedIn's back-end ability, but yes, when they first send a application in, they can send me a message, say, hey, I just sent my application in, so and so, thank you for your consideration, or whatever, and that puts it, at least their name in my head as I'm reviewing the things. Oh, they said something, maybe I'll take a look at them a little further and go into their profile instead of just looking at what the application they sent. Something along those lines is always puts someone's name and face in front of a person that's hiring, and possibly can make that link and connection.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing, and that's what I've always told people is, especially if you're gonna start applying. When I was retiring out of the army, I can't tell you how many CISOs, directors, CEOs. If you had like manager, director, or executive anywhere in your title, I sent you a LinkedIn connection request.
Hmm.
And then if I saw the company you worked for and I thought maybe I'm going to apply there, I developed a rapport and I built connections with all these people. And so I think that has helped me a lot in my career is, it no longer had to become, hey, I applied. I just want to let you know, hey, thanks for your consideration. It was, hey, look, like we've already been talking. We have this rapport. We're like, we're colleagues at this point. Hey, look, I'm looking for work. I just want to let you know my resume got sent in. If it doesn't clear ATS, can you at least let me know so that I can send it to you personally, or do you want me to send it to you now? And a lot of times things like that, they'll be like, oh, just send it over to me. It'll be fine. Like, and they give you that consideration. But if you're not working on that networking aspect, I don't think it matters how you hire, because a lot of times that name doesn't stick because they're not networking with you. They're not building that rapport. So I think that's huge in any hiring aspect.
I can see that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I guess I went a little light with that. They could, yes, say this is start a rapport with me, and I've even had people continue to follow along and
Mhm.
and ask me questions on things like that even after we've had the interview process or whatever. So I really enjoy that, and it puts me continuing to think about them, thinking, oh, I wish if I had this slot open, I might be able to fill them with this sort of thing.
Right. And I think that's big, right? Maybe they're not at that senior level or that mid level. Maybe they are a junior and you
Yeah.
just don't have that slot open yet. Then if they continue the conversation, then that's the name that's going to come up whenever, it opens. They're like, oh, I got the slot. Let me let them know, hey, this just opened. If you're still looking, go ahead and apply. Let me know when you do, and we'll take a look.
Mm.
So I think that's huge. I do have a question from Andrea, and I know you're not necessarily in a position to make this call as of right now, but how often do you hire entry level SOC analysts? So in your career as a hiring manager, basically, how often do you try to bring in entry level SOC analysts?
That is the only people that I bring in from the outside when I'm running a SOC. So I only hire entry level analysts. I will look. All of my job descriptions are sent out with 0 to 2 years of experience requirements. So that's the first thing I look for, because I want to build a SOC analyst up my way, not the wrong way.
Everybody thinks their way the right way, but no,
Yes.
I get your point because you learn bad habits in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So even with your way, there may be some bad habits there
Yeah.
that they have to
Exactly.
unlearn or whatever if they go somewhere else. But you don't know that. No,
Yeah.
nobody's perfect. So we're all going to develop our own little quirks. So to your point, having someone that's not going to have specific quirks that might piss you off or make it seem like they're doing the job wrong already makes sense. So I love the fact that you always hire those junior analysts, which means to anybody watching this, you might want to connect with Nick Gipson because he hires SOC people, and he'll be doing so here within probably a year or so. Just
Yes.
letting y'all know. Um, so I think that's great because that is always what I'm about is bringing in juniors. Bring in juniors, build them up. Because if you hire a senior or a mid-level person, yeah, that's great. But do they necessarily have the same work ethic anymore? Do they have the same drive? I see so much more drive a lot of times in people trying to break in that
Mm-hmm.
as long as you keep motivating them, that drive sticks there, that passion sticks there. And then giving their time off, right? Give them
Yep.
help prevent burnout. But that drive and passion will usually stay there for a longer point in time. Whereas when you hit that mid to senior level, depending on the organizations you've been with, you could be hitting that burnout point at any time. And if someone doesn't recognize it, your work starts to slip. And there's at that point, it's like, yo, you need to take like 2 weeks off. Like, go.
Yeah.
Just go. Get away from
Yeah.
your computer. Don't check into work. Just go.
Yeah. I could fill up a whole nother couple hours talking about analyst burnout and the ways to prevent it and everything else. And actually, it's a big chunk of my research paper that I just published this week, which has the Gipson hiring process within it. So you can check that out on my LinkedIn page. but it really, that's the biggest thing about my process is looking for passion and hiring entry-level analysts to build them up, only promoting from within, that sort of thing is all within that. Also, on another point for hiring managers in any sort of SOC team, a really robust onboarding strategy and training plan for new analysts is a high priority requirement. Just letting everyone know that. So many times have I gone into a SOC and they're like, oh yeah, we don't have any documentation, and the guy that used to train everyone just left. So here's the SOC. I'm like,
here you go,
right.
have fun.
Yeah.
What SIM are you using? We don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Go have
exactly.
fun.
So
so I got a few other things here. So
oh,
the first one is from Robert. What outside experience translates well into a SOC?
Customer service translates really well. You need to be able to handle irate customers, because when you are most needed is when their worst day is happening. You need to realize that when you become a SOC analyst. No one likes you. No one likes you. You're either the harbinger of bad news telling that something's going to happen, or the bringer of, or the messenger that needs to be killed when you tell that something's already happened. So both ways, you're kind of screwed. So you just got to really know that when you become a security analyst.
Yeah, I think customer service is huge, and anything that requires correlation of data.
Yes.
Or like if you know how to correlate information, and so whether, I can't think of any careers offhand, but I'm sure there's stuff out there that you can,
data entry,
data science, data entry, there's a lot that if you correlate data, perfect, because that's how alarms and alerts are built, is based off of data correlation.
If you sit in a dentist office and need to look at a bunch of spreadsheets and correlate them together, I want you in my SOC.
There you go.
Yes.
Yep. Makes sense. Javier, every organization runs their SOC differently. So true. I've been at an MSSP. I've been, a consultant, and I've looked at how different SOCs are run, and no two organizations are the same. I've yet to come across it. I mean, it might be like birthdays when you get like 100 or 200 and some people in a room. Two people have the same birthday, but I don't know. I have not come across two that are the same yet.
So the company that I'm currently with this is my fourth time I've built a SOC, and in each of my SOC builds is completely different. I've built on premise, I've built for the DoD, I've built for just other private organizations, and each one of them has different requirements and different security strategies and different implementations. And that's also another thing that I address within my, I'm sorry, I keep going back to it, my research paper that I just published, because it's really relevant to this point. It's a guide that covers no matter where your SOC is. If it's an internal SOC within another organization, or you're building the new service center for CENTCOM, or whatever you want whatever we want to put it as. It's a guide to help you do that, and walks you through each step. So it's really, yes, 100%. Every organization is different.
Yeah, and building a SOC is hard because you have to have it's solely based on the organization. It's based on, are they cloud, are they on-prem, are they hybrid, are they, what technology you're going to use. Do you have to find specific people for the technology, or are you going to hire people, see what they're good at, and then build the technology around them?
Yeah.
What is your bandwidth? Like, how many assets do you have? Do you even have an asset inventory? There's so much that goes into it that it is very organizationally based. There is so much. And that is why I think, to your point, hiring junior analysts and teaching them your organization, your structure, your documentation, your practice is so important, because then they know how that SOC is ran. And as they come up, they train the juniors and they're able to go. I do think, yes, if it's your first SOC, if it's the organization has never had one and you're just putting it in place, it is very hard to bring in those juniors. But you're going to have to understand, as the SOC manager or security manager or whatever, guess what? Your time is going to be spent training for at least the first 3 months, because that's what's going to be required.
Yes.
You don't want to bring in seniors that think they know more than you when it's your SOC. Like you can't do that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And when I do bring in the security analysts, I started with just having a sort of 5-day program that didn't work for anyone. And we started moving it along, and now it's a 10-week program. So when my analyst comes in from day one, I know that they're not going to be on the active board for 10 weeks because they need to be in training. They need to learn all of our tools that we use, all of the customer products. So I'm currently in an MSSP. So they needed to learn all of our customer processes. And security analysts are really like human knowledge bases. And the more time they spend in the SOC, the more that knowledge base gets filled up. And when you lose a security analyst, that knowledge base is gone forever and it can never be accessed again.
Yep. It's huge. I've worked at an MSSP. So Alana says here, that surprises me about the SOC hate. They are such a massively valuable part of the cyber team. I guess I don't get it. Is it worse on an MSSP team versus an in-house SOC? What do you say?
It's neither worse nor better. It's 6 one way, half a dozen the other, depending on your view of things. So the difference is an MSSP is a client to many customers. So they have a bunch of different industries that you have to look out for, a bunch of different processes for each customer that you have to maintain, SLAs and that sort of time you have to maintain and keep value because the MSSP will actually lose money if you miss an SLA time. So all that stuff comes into play with an MSSP. Whereas an internal SOC, you're running the whole thing. You can take as long as you want to investigate an incident. It's your incident. So that's the difference. It's a little less stressful in all different ways at an internal SOC than versus an MSSP.
Yeah, and I think the hate comes from the fact that as an analyst, you're sending up that alert that says, "Hey, we've been fucked."
Yeah.
Bend over and take it because ransomware just hit our network.
Yes.
So you're the person stating this. So that's where the hate comes from because you in turn with the director and the CISO and the rest of the security team, you just happen to be low man on the totem pole or low woman. Like that's just what it is. So you're going to take the most heat from the people that don't know any better.
Yes.
Just like the help desk. The help desk takes heat for things that the system administrators and security put in place. It's the way it is. You kind of got to suck it up because people don't know any better.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with you, just where a lot of it comes from. But yes, the SLAs are huge in MSSPs. The one thing I will say about an MSSP is there are good ones and bad ones. Like there are some really, really good ones.
Yes.
That 24/7, 365, they are there for you. And that their advertising and marketing and everything is legit and they will do whatever it fucking takes. Then there's others that'll lie to you.
Yeah.
And I say this because I've seen a lot of different ones. And there are some that the alerts suck. They'll do shit without telling you. They'll change things without telling you. And even the analysts aren't necessarily 24/7. Like they are, but at the same time, they're kind of like, that kind of looks normal because of something we have not talked about. And that is alert fatigue. You see it more often in companies than MSSPs because MSSPs tend to have more people. But it is bad. It is absolutely horrendous. Is alert fatigue.
Yes, it's like a security guard that just kind of, you've seen that meme where the security guard just kind of goes like this. Like that's alert fatigue where you're just going, yep, it probably is fine. And
it's all good. Yeah. It looks normal. I get it.
Yeah. That developer's probably just doing something at 3 a.m. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So Javier wants to know, is Hook, Line, and Cyber the paper you posted, the one you referred to earlier?
Yes, it is.
Javier was my guest last week, so Javier is in the house. Love you,
Awesome.
Javier.
Hey, Javier.
Andrea, hey, I love this shirt too. I hope you're wearing it tonight because you got to be prepared. For anyone who's wondering, you can get this shirt on my store, CyberWarriorStudios.com, just saying, as well as a bunch of other stuff. I just came out with some new shit too. But anyways, It is. And Natalie points out it's all in how the contract is written. And as an MSSP, those contracts are huge. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And this is why I say, as an analyst, as you start working your way up, you do need to understand the business side of things, because those contracts will dictate your team's life. They will dictate whether or not they get burnout or they're able to succeed.
Yes.
Because if your SLAs for a low alarm of a brute force attack that never succeeded is like 8 hours, I'm sorry someone fucked up the SOW in the contract, because a brute force that never resulted in an authentication is not something you really send to the client right away, if at all, or else the client is going to get notified.
No, that is something in my SOC that I automate. So I run a heavily automated SOC where 80% of my tier 1 and 2 automation is completely automated. So like as in when an analyst gets an alert, all of that searching that they used to have to do with the OSINT and going in to do log searches, all that's done for them, and they just make a decision. So that's the kind of stuff that you should be automating to avoid alert fatigue.
Oh yeah, and again, it comes down to that correlation that we talked about. And this is where I think you really have to train your junior analysts on, as they're coming up, is being able to correlate this data. Because yes, you should have, so that you can do threat hunting and dig in to see where an attack actually started. Excuse me. You should have, a brute force alarm or event or something that triggers, a brute force attack going on, or a password spraying or an Nmap scan or whatever. But it's not something you send to the client. That's something that's going to happen all the time. It is when you see this event that then leads to a further event that now, okay, they have access, or something happened that now, okay, now we need to notify the client. They gained access. This is bad. You need to look. That is when that automation kind of takes over and says, okay, this alarm triggered. Let's now notify the client. And then your analyst can threat hunt and be like, okay, it's these IPs, it's this, it was going on since this time, they gained access here.
Yes.
So it gives them that leeway. But I stand by the fact, automation will only take you so far. You absolutely will need that human element in a SOC forever. I don't care what anybody says.
No.
AI can get bent, and all those people that love it can get bent. You will always need the human element in the SOC.
100%. You need to automate for the security analyst, not automate the security analyst.
Correct. You got to analyze the data. You got to analyze the alarms and the threats and the vulnerabilities. This shit has to exist. If it doesn't exist, if the human isn't there, there is so much that can go wrong. You can bring down an entire network because of automation, because the wrong alarm was a false positive, but you told the system, if this alarm triggers, go ahead and block X, Y, and Z, or isolate this system. Now, all of a sudden, your domain controller is out of commission because you automated the alert.
I've seen that exact scenario so many times where they'll automate the EDR portion of it, and they'll say, okay, if it says this, then I want you to immediately isolate the host. And they find that on a domain controller, and it isolates the domain controller.
Like I said, I absolutely love automation. I do. I think it makes certain things so much easier. For notification.
Yes.
Not necessarily isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Not shutting things down. To an extent. Like, hey, I'm getting beat up from a foreign country for whatever. I got a computer calling out the C2 servers. All right, let's block all those IPs, or let's stop that computer's outbound traffic for now and see what's going on. Not, hey, let's cut it off from fucking everything because I don't want to do the manual labor to actually look and see if it's legit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like the automation is your bird dog, but you're the one pulling the trigger.
Right there. Love it. I do. I think that's huge. I think that's absolutely huge. And just to touch a little bit more, because this show is technically about your hiring process. I think a lot of it comes back to that passion that you don't want to put analysts out of a job because we need them. Because a lot of times, like I said, they're going to have more passion than some of the people that have been doing that job for 3, 4, 5 years. They're now at that level where they're like, I want the fuck out. I need to move up. I need to be a manager or director, or I need to move on with my career. So
Yeah.
your analysts at that mid to senior level are looking to move up and out, whereas your juniors, they're just trying to get their hands dirty and figure out what the fuck's going on. They want to be there, and they're going to continue to learn.
100%.
So, that's why I love the way you said your hiring process is all about that passion. It's all about finding the people putting in the work, putting in the effort, because it's huge. And William Bailey, who he's also been a guest on this show. Actually, most of the people in chat have been guests on this show. It's fucking awesome. So William Bailey, give away the farm, promise the world, you'll burn up staff. So true. So
100%.
true. Robert, I don't have Dancing Granny anymore. Eric is no longer my co-host. He has other shit going on because he's running Raices and a bunch of other stuff. So Dancing Granny is out. You get my sexy beard and my all this amazingness right here is what you get on a regular basis. Just hit you up on LinkedIn. Love to talk sometime. Glad I caught this live. So I don't know if that was me or you. I got 4 notifications on LinkedIn, so it was one of us too.
Yeah.
Who knows? But no, I do. I think, especially with you being in the position you're in and being in more in that hiring position, I think it's good information for people to know that there are those out there like you that are looking for passion, looking for someone that is building labs, doing learning, doing shit on their own, not just saying, hey, I got this certification, hire me now, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got the CEH. I'm certified by the DoD.
Right? Like, what the fuck does that mean to me? What have you done?
Yeah.
And I had that conversation. Sounds good, Steve. I had that conversation with someone on, I think it was Discord a few years back. And it was, I said, if you're going to apply to a job or, you're trying to get hired, you should make a name for yourself, have a blog, have a YouTube channel, be on LinkedIn, something to put your name out there, because I can't rely on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I need something. And to your point, if you're telling me you're building labs and all this stuff, I'm going to question you on it. And of course, no, mother, my mom's actually watching and told me language. My show, leave me alone. But so this person was like, oh, it's gatekeeping because they want this, or this. And it's like, no, it's not gatekeeping. I don't know who you are from Adam based off of a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I read it and who knows? I know who you are because I'm going to look you up. I'm going to try to find out who you are, and I'm going to ask around. I'm going to see if people know you.
Mm-hmm.
To that point, my own boss right now, when people have applied to the job, to the company I work for, he's been like, hey, do you know this person? Because of how connected I am in cybersecurity and the people that I know. And I'm like, no, but let me see if I'm actually, I've talked to them in the past. Like, the name doesn't ring a bell. Let me figure it out. And if they've taken a class with somebody I'm friends with, I'll talk to that person. Be like, hey, how was this person in class? So the passion shows through because I can actually talk to people and figure out if you're passionate about it. If you're lying to me on a resume and say, oh yeah, I built out all these labs. Cool. All right. Tell me how to set up, what did you do? You set up Security Onion. I've got an entire video series on Security Onion. All right. Tell me how you set it up. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Yeah.
I can answer it, but I'm going to let you go because you told me you did it already.
Yeah.
And if it's just one of those things.
I mean, Cybersecurity Onion is not on my resume Security Onion is not on my resume because I don't know Security Onion as well as you do.
Exactly.
So it's not on my resume.
Right? Like it's one of those things. If you're going to put it there, you should know it. I will full-heartedly admit there are things that I put on my resume that I used to know very, very well. But because of the years I've been away from it and I haven't done it, you might be stretching it a bit now. So I've actually had to go back through my resume and be like, I don't know this anymore. I don't want to be questioned on this anymore. I forgot all that information. Let's get rid of that too. Let's clean this up a little bit. Okay, this is what I know now. Yeah. Like I've had to go back through and do that. Because when I first got out of the Army, I did a lot. I knew a lot because I was always studying. But now I know SIM. I know these different SIM tools. I know pen testing and these different pen testing tools. I know Security Onion and these different blue team tools. Like,
Oh,
I've consulted. I know a good bit about the cloud and about all these other things. But to sit here and say, like, I'm a reverse engineer, do I have my GREM? Yes. It hasn't expired yet. I still have it. Will I ever apply to a reverse engineering job? Nope. Nope. Not for
yeah.
me, homie. Not going to happen. And I will never put on my resume, I know how to reverse engineer malware, because I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I always get that stuff. And honestly, nowadays, having a really good LinkedIn profile is just as good as having a good resume, because
Yeah.
that's the first thing I'm going towards is what does your LinkedIn profile look like? Is it just sparse and kind of off-putting? Maybe looks like a bot created it. That's probably something I don't want to look at. But if you have your
Right.
name and your last, even if it was just college, even if you have no other job but just a college, and an about me section, that would be perfectly fine versus no picture and weird names and all that stuff. You know
Man,
what
when
I'm
I
talking
see
about?
no picture and I'm
Yeah,
already connected to you, I get a little like,
yeah.
come on. Look, I get it. There are people using LinkedIn for bad things these days,
Well, what
but
are you doing to get your picture revoked on LinkedIn?
I
Like,
don't think it's revoked. I think they never put it up there.
oh, okay. I thought they got revoked sometimes.
I mean, it
Now, but
might. You never know.
yeah,
Maybe they're going on there topless. Who knows?
who
I
knows? Who
mean,
knows?
maybe they're an OnlyFans model. You never know. I
You
mean,
never
it just
know. Yeah.
these days it's just all up in the air. But, but yeah, I think in terms of hiring, even a SOC analyst, your LinkedIn profile is huge, because I see people like Andrea here, who's constantly putting out information about jobs that are hiring and helping the community and doing things. So you can see that passion in where she's trying to help people, and just what she's done, and even being on the show and other things. And so, I look at that, and I've talked to her, and if I ever get to the point I have a junior role and she has yet to have a job, I'm hiring her, like, hands down, right away. Like, hey, go talk to this person. I'm hiring you right now. Like,
Yeah.
if that comes to be, that comes to be, because I see the passion of what she's doing on LinkedIn and how she's approaching the situation and the fight that she has to just make it. And I think if more hiring managers did that, it would go a lot further, because now, instead of looking at a piece of paper that just says, oh yeah, I have this degree from Harvard, and I got my master's here, and I did all this, it now I'm looking at LinkedIn, I'm looking at who you are as a person, not who you present on one sheet of paper.
Yes.
One sheet of paper
Exactly.
tells me nothing, absolutely nothing.
That
uh,
gets me to want to look at your LinkedIn profile. That's
that's
what
that's
that's what it
yeah.
does.
And so, you know Akira is going to be on the show coming up. I guarantee you I'll get the same thing from her. Andrea has been on the show. Like, just the energy and the passion and the love that so many people have for this industry that don't get looked at, because the ATS system
Yes.
is, you don't have 20 years of experience in a language that's been out for 3 years.
I won't use an automated. I do all of my resume checking manually, all of it, 100%, because
Yeah.
I go on there and I use LinkedIn's, and you can scroll through and read it all. And I do that because I don't want someone that just knows how to fill in keywords. I know how to do that. Here's a great hack for anyone that's listening out there to fill in keywords. In the headers and footers of your resume, put all the keywords you can think of and then make the text white. It'll look
Oh, I
like a
never even
normal
thought of
resume.
that.
Yeah. And then it'll look like
That
a
is
normal resume, but the ATS will get it.
that is awesome. Never thought of that. But Natalie has, should I add links for LinkedIn and other profiles to my resume? I do, Robert. Yes. I
Yes.
will say yes. Natalie does have a great question here, though. Can you give me your take on how much information people provide on their LinkedIn account is too much? Do you look for that when you look at their accounts?
Well,
Oh,
don't put PII on your LinkedIn accounts. Like, make it professional. Like, don't put your home address or anything crazy like that. But put yeah, put your passion fields on there. Like, I love Legos. So maybe if I was going to go for a job at Lego, I would put that I like Legos on there or something along those lines. So if you have passions that might directly correlate with the role you're going with, put it on there. And yes, a LinkedIn is now the 6th and 7th page of your resume. You can add all the things that you want, as much as you want, and it'll just continually be there for someone to ingest at their will.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, and I think the other flip side to that is, can you put too much? Yes, there could be too much information.
Yes.
You know, let's be honest. If you're trying to get hired for a cybersecurity role, you don't want to sit on there and say, "Oh yes, and I'm an OnlyFans model." Let's be honest. That's probably not something someone's looking for. Nothing against that if you are actually one of those, but you don't want to put that on LinkedIn.
Relevant to the roles that you're going for.
I would say that, and even if it is personal, like, hey, like even on mine, I'm a veteran, I'm disabled, I have a wife, I have kids, I have pets, like I have a personal life.
Yeah.
I enjoy my content. I enjoy drinking beer. I enjoy so many other things. So, you know, I want you to know me as a person, but also as a professional. So I have my military career there. I have, you know, some of my personal, not all of it, actually very little, just basic details. I don't even have my wife's name. So like, I have these little details, but it's enough that you can get to know who I am as a human being. And I think that's huge. But again, you don't ever want to put anything that's going to give away your passwords.
Yes.
You don't ever want to put anything that's going to dox you, with the exception being, actually, even most of my jobs can't dox me. I've worked remote for quite a while now. So yeah, good luck on that one. But you know, so between your profile and I want to see how you've interacted with people.
Yes.
Do I see you commenting? Do I see you even saying, hey, congratulations to people that have done well in the industry? And I'll be honest, that congratulations means you're actually paying attention and lifting people up when they succeed.
Yes.
That means more to me than probably you sitting there writing a whole essay on your career. I got to be honest. I'd rather see you lift people up than tell me everything you've done in your entire life from the time you were born.
Yeah. If you're going through your LinkedIn feed and making snarky comments on everything and that sort of stuff, like, I don't want any of that. Like, I don't need that. That's for Twitter and all that other nonsense. If you want to make an actual effort and a contribution to this industry, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for exactly, and also lifting people up in the industry to say, oh, hey, I have some new resources that I just found. Let me share these out. Something small like that, or just commenting, hey, way to go, or something along those lines is better than a lot of the things that I see starting to happen on LinkedIn that I don't really like.
Oh yeah, there's LinkedIn to an extent, and people talk about it being like Facebook. I think it goes worse than Facebook. Facebook is meant for trolls. LinkedIn isn't. And it's not the posts that bother me necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It's the comments of people trolling.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me. LinkedIn's supposed to be professional. You're supposed to be an adult. Guess what? If you don't like it, scroll past it. That's all you need to do. Now, if you're going to engage in civil conversation and have a civil, discussion about why you disagree with something, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the moment you start just posting BS on somebody else's like successful post, or I did this, that, or the third, like, come on. Like, honestly, I love JJ Davey, and he just put up a post today about, beard care.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I got one right here. What you got for me, homie? Like, I want to read this. All right, cool. All right, now I know. Granted, he's overseas, so I can't get the same stuff he can. Well,
he's busy rucking every day and wearing his
dude, he's doing everything. I love JJ.
Yeah.
I can't wait till me and him get to meet in person. But he I'm waiting for somebody to troll him, because he tends to get a lot of trolls.
Yeah.
And say, oh, this isn't Facebook. Why are you posting about beards? Because it's important to him. It's mental health. It is how he takes care of him. Oh, I got some great beard tips, Alana. Not that I'm gonna take them, but I did, because my beard is epic. Let's be honest.
Hey, if you're in a professional industry and you're going to have a long beard, you need to maintain it properly to look professional.
And that's the big thing. As I have seen people, I've seen interviews. Oh, it frustrate me. I actually interviewed someone, and this stuff was like, whew, it was like, dude,
just run a comb through
look,
that, bro. Like, come on.
There's like beard oil. There's some wash. There's a brush. There's beard butter. There's beard balm. Like I give you like 5 products that'll do great for you to tame that like real quick.
Yeah.
And you know, and that was the big thing with even me and my wife. My wife, if look, my mom hates my beard. Let's be honest. If she's still watching, she'll blatantly tell y'all she hates my beard. But you know, my wife's big thing was it has to be groomed. It has to look professional. It can't get out of hand. Don't get me wrong. When I was drunk Thor for Halloween like 2 years ago, it was a little out of hand. I loved it. She didn't. That's why it's gone. But again, it just comes down to, you know, beard care as someone who has a beard is very important because you can't go to a client. If you want to profess that beards should be allowed everywhere, you can't go to a client, a professional setting with a beard that literally looks like you just walked out of the woods.
Yeah.
And never took a comb to your hair, your beard, or anything. You just can't.
Yeah. Like if you're a missing link walking into the boardroom, like that's not okay.
No. Like if you look like Oliver Queen coming back from, you know, the island after 12 years or however long it was and never took a razor to his face, that's not a good look, homie. The thing that makes LinkedIn work is the professionalism and encouragement to others in their careers. It will lose its usefulness if it becomes a platform like Facebook. Bill, you're not wrong. If it does become, this is, all right, I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to say something that I never say on this show. If LinkedIn becomes a political stance and not a professional site based on career conversations, then you are correct. That is when it becomes like Facebook. The moment people start taking political stances on it more often than not versus career-oriented stances of what is good for your career or bad for your career, then you're correct. Do you disagree, Nick?
No, I don't. I fully agree. That's the primary focus of it. Some people may, like you said, throw non-professional appearing to be directly, I'd say, directly professional related content that may be shared, and some people may perceive that as Facebooky, but until the majority of the content is geared towards non-professional content, then you have a problem.
Right. And I think that there's people like, you know, myself, I've posted pictures of like my dog and stuff, just, hey, this is me preventing burnout and, you know, get outside, enjoy your life. Like it is always meant in such a way to motivate and inspire others to continue in their careers, but prevent negative mental health effects that are very prevalent in the cybersecurity career field and IT career fields. A lot of others too, but because this is my profession, that's what I stick to. And I think that people negate that fact that, look, I could sit here and post a picture of my dog and me playing with my dog and say, hey, look, this is me getting outside. I'm playing with my dog. Look, you got to take time away from your computer. Here's the problem with society today. They'll completely skip the rest of that and just see, oh, he's playing with his dog. This is Facebook.
Yeah.
No. Read the whole post, homie. Read the entire thing to understand why this is relevant. And that, I think, is where the issue lies.
Yes, LinkedIn is the new water cooler. People forget that. You would do the same. You'd share the same things at a water cooler, like a picture of your dog or a picture of your kids or something along those lines. That my little Johnny just graduated 5th grade. Here's a picture of him. Something along those lines is totally fine and welcomed, I think.
Yeah, and I think for the majority of people it is. But again, you still get this trollish behavior from people of turning everything negative. Mm-hmm. And that is something that, and Robert knows. Hold up, time out. Let me go get this shirt that my boy Robert sent me, you know, the slug noodle. If nobody knows him, the slug noodle, that's my boy. All right, hold up. I got you. Give me a second. I have it right here. I didn't wear it because I'm wearing my shirt, but I will show y'all. Boop, can y'all see that? There it is. Encourage, inspire, motivate.
Nice.
Positivity warrior.
Love that.
You got that right. That is what we do around here. That is who I am. That is what Robert does. That is what Andrea does. That is what so many other people do. And that's the thing, is the people that promote negativity, that don't lift others up, that don't, you know, they're always spreading that negative energy. You could just feel it.
Yes.
Those are the people you separate yourself from, whether that's in cybersecurity, IT, lawyers, doctors, nurses. It doesn't matter. If your realm is negative, if your energy is negative, if your aura is negative, however you want to think of it, if you have a soul that I don't want to be around, I'm out. See you later. I don't have time for that in my life. So we got one more question for you. And then we'll depending on how long it takes, we may wrap it up. We may not. We'll see.
Yeah.
I like to talk. Question: in today's online interviews, Zoom, Teams, etc., what is considered appropriate setting? Dress, background, green screen background, etc. I know what my take is, but I'll let you go.
Yeah. So I don't mind a green screen. As you can see, I'm in a tiny room. So I don't really mind someone else being also in a tiny room. You know, life is life. The biggest thing is just being able to hear and see the person. Okay. As long as you have some good lighting and it's relatively quiet around you and you have a good microphone, those are the big three things that you need.
What about dress and appearance?
Dress and appearance, depending on the meeting. So interviews, you can do anything from maybe throw on a jacket and a sport coat, or just a nice sort of business casual sort of outfit, or depending on also what level of meeting, level of interview phase you're going through and who you're meeting that day. Maybe if you're meeting the CEO or CFO, you might want to put on a tie or something a little nicer. But for the most part, just dressing nice, having your hair nice and your beard nice, if you have a beard, is better presented and more, I think, cared about. Because you're going to see most of the interviewers that are going to pop up, they're going to be in like a pair of basketball shorts and like their hair's all messed up and like that coffee stains on everywhere because they just are busy and they have other things that they need to do. So as long as you look presentable and you articulate and your audio visual is good, then I think you're good to go.
And you're not wrong. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit. I have not done a single interview in anything other than a polo. Well, and whatever I was wearing that day, jeans, cargo pants, whatever. Everything I've ever done for a video interview has been a polo. Now, depending on once you get the job, completely different story. But to your point, Nick, if you're meeting with a CEO, a CIO, a CISO, a CTO, if there is C in that name, if not a tie, at least a button down.
Yes.
At the very least. And if you are a female, I don't know what professional dress is a female. Maybe a dress, maybe, hey, go 3-piece suit, only the top 2 pieces. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. There's no regulation. The Army didn't give me the regulation on civilian dress.
No. So I would just say go professional. But again, it really depends. And I will say this for anybody of any gender, you can't go wrong with a polo for your first interview.
100%.
Like
polo.
I don't care who you are, throw on a polo.
Yeah, it's ambiguous for business casual.
Yeah. So I learned that in the military. Ruffs with polo and cargo pants and combat boots. So that's like literally what I wear almost every day. Well, the cargo pants are debatable. Sometimes I wear jeans because they stretch. Look, I put on a little bit of weight. Don't judge me. Since I retired. But yeah, I do. I think definitely your dress and appearance. I will, and again, to your point, if you have facial hair, keep it groomed. If you have hair, do your hair. I don't want to see a whole, mess of like spider web, like you just rolled out of bed. At least look like you took a comb to it and some gel maybe, or whatever you use, some product. Also,
men, if you don't have hair, just own that. Don't try to play it off that you have hair. Like, come on, guy. Like, we all see it.
Right? I could tell when it's fake.
Yeah.
Green screen and backgrounds. Look, my background for my interviews has either been, it's always been something random. Anybody who's watched Motivation Monday and some other longer videos knows I have a bunch of random stuff behind me. Granted,
Yeah.
it's all tech related, but that's how I've done all my interviews. And then, it varies. But I think it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a CEO, a CTO, an executive, I would allow the conversation to flow naturally and maybe have a green screen initially. And the green screens for like Zoom and Skype and Teams have gotten really good where even with stuff in your background, it'll usually cover it all. And then if you end up having a conversation and start like, oh man, like, yeah, you should just see what I'm really sitting behind, then drop your green screen. Like,
yeah,
just understand your audience and who you're talking to. And building that rapport with anybody is huge. I can get away to this day with any client sitting in front of my desk with all of the schematics, the Harry Potter map above me, and all my SAM stuff around. And people are like, dude, that port poster is awesome. Where'd you get it? Is that the Marauders map? Like, are those schematic? Yeah, this is what it is. So, understanding your audience, and I have a little bit for everyone. So, okay, let's just go with it. This is my career field. This is what I do. We're all nerds. I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that's huge. Steve G, who just joined LinkedIn recently, a lot of good stuff. I am trying to stop lurking in the shadows and actually network since I hit my 2-year mark in an IT support position. I am just putting myself out there. Steve, if you are not connected to Kevin Apollinario, KevTech IT support.
Yep, KevTech.
Link up with KevTech. That man will hook you up. He just he just got his first cybersecurity job. So make sure you're connected with him. He's been in IT support for a while and finally is working for, I believe it's Sentinel One or Sentinel, something like that. But yes, he's working cybersecurity. What'd you say?
I thought it was CrowdStrike, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'd have to look. I don't know. He's working for some cybersecurity company now, which is freaking awesome. Let's see. And I always say dress for the role you want. Javier, doesn't matter what the interviewer is wearing, the interviewee needs to dress for the part. I say dress for the role you want. So if one day you want to be an executive, wear a goddamn business suit.
Yeah. But if you want to be a security operator, wear a polo.
Mm-hmm. Me personally, look, I don't really interview all that much anymore, so yeah, I can't say nothing. But I've always worn polos because I always thought I was going to be technical until I realized I'd rather get into some management. But yeah, so I think that it's been an awesome show, man. It's after the top of the hour. Great audience today. Actually, I have more viewers here. According to StreamYard, it's up to 22. It's been up and down all night. So I don't know what the honest numbers are. I will say this. Do me a favor. Give me some final words. And I want this geared towards any new people breaking into industry. What advice do you have for people like Andrea and Akira and Carrie? All them people, if they're brand new breaking into industry, what advice could you give them?
To keep driving and never stop, because someone will find your value, and then you'll have your dream job or the first job to get into the door for this field. There's always a job out there for everyone. You just need to find the right job that fits with both your values and the company's values. And that's the best advice I can give is keep driving. I feel a lot of people get discouraged after the 3rd and 4th and 5th month of not finding a cybersecurity job after countless interviews and all this other stuff. You will get there. It will happen. Someone like me will see your resume and hire you. I promise.
Couldn't agree more. And that passion, that drive is so important. Again, don't get discouraged. Take it from someone who retired out of the Army with a ton of SAN certs, a degree, and experience, and it still took me months to get a job. So if it took me months to get a job, what's it going to take someone just breaking in? It's going to take time. You got to earn it. You got to get there. That side work, that lab building and try hack me and hack the box. All this stuff is vital, and put yourself out there on LinkedIn. So very important. Myself, Nick, eventually one of us, somebody will see it, somebody will have a job for you, and you'll get it. But we have to know your name. We have to know who you are. If you're not putting yourself out there, and if I do a Google search for you and don't find you, you're less likely to get looked at. I'm just being honest. It is the day of social networks. If I can't even find a LinkedIn profile for you, we're going to have issues. It's just because I need to know that this means something to you. So I will say that. Otherwise, look, if you're looking to connect with myself or Nick, please, all that is down in the description below, as well as all the ways you can buy merchandise, support the show, support the channel, and everything else like that. Now, otherwise, it's been an amazing Freya's Day. This is my perfect end to the weekend, because this is what I love to do, is help other people out. Nick, while you're here, your information's down below. I've also put it out on LinkedIn that you're looking for work, so hopefully somebody can pick it up, find you here. Please, anybody here in the chat right now, please feel free to share this show. We want to get Nick hired. He's looking for work, so let people know who he is. Otherwise, look, it's been an amazing Friday. It's been an amazing security happy hour, and I'll see you all next week with another amazing guest.
Thanks, everyone.